Okay, so I'll just gonna go and here's the kind of the agenda here that we're going to be doing: introductions, networking, breakout rooms. I highly recommend networking with people, whether it be digital on Zoom or preferably in person, but you know, that's always up in the air right now. We're going to move into some personal branding. I have a Canva exercise for you guys all to do, LinkedIn, and a LinkedIn exercise. We'll give you guys a little break because this is a 2-hour workshop. I'm going to go over a social media audit. And lastly, we're going to do elevator speech and elevator speech breakout rooms. This is another important thing that everyone should have and know, especially be prepared when you go to career fair events or networking events. You need to have your elevator speech or just meeting people out and about. And then lastly, some last minute career tips for you guys. So a quick introduction on myself before you guys get into your breakout rooms. So I am actually an alum of Miracosta College. I grew up in North County, Oceanside, and transferred from Miracosta College to UC San Diego using the Miracosta transfer program. And at UC San Diego, my degree back then was called Visual Media Arts, which consisted of graphic design, video, and photography. During that time is when everything was changing from analog film to digital. So I actually got to learn both. So I had a digital camera and I had a film camera. My bathroom was where I actually developed my own film in college. First, I learned how to develop in high school, and then at Miracosta developed, and then I had my own dark room. So that was pretty cool. But then at the same time, I also bought my first digital camera, so I got to learn both of them. My internship, I was very lucky to have a paid internship. They are out there, just might take a little bit more research. My internship was with Tony Hawk, the professional skateboarder, and his company called 900 Films, which was his video production company. So I was a production assistant. I would go out to other shoots. I would be the one holding the lights or ordering the food. I would go through all the raw skateboarding footage and log it, find certain clips. I was also actually there with Sony when they worked on the last video game that Tony did. So this was years back, but it was an amazing experience and I loved it. My senior year in college, I studied abroad in Florence, Italy for 6 weeks. And I was fluent in Italian. By the time I left there, when I came home, I forgot it all because I just never used it. It was also a great excuse to learn about wine, eat lots of pizza and gelato, right? So after I graduated, I actually worked full-time when I was in college. And yes, it was very difficult. And at the time, I was really upset that I had to work full-time while in college to pay for everything. But after I graduated, I had a career position within 3 months because of all the work experience I had. So for those of you that might be in the same boat and are frustrated, it's going to pay off later having that work experience now. So my first jobs were in production, such as graphic design, computer programming, project management. As I learned more about marketing and as other technologies came out, I moved more into web to print, direct mail marketing, which is the junk mail you get in the mail, right? Email marketing. And then when social media came out, I jumped on top of social media marketing. So I was always learning the newest trends, right? I wasn't just stuck on, oh, direct mail marketing. I don't want to learn anything new. Bad attitude to have. You want to learn all the new things and jump on it first. So I learned more about marketing, all the different types. And I was in a senior position when I kind of realized that, hey, I know the creative side of marketing, but I don't really know the analytical research side of marketing. So from there, I went back to school and I got my master's in business administration. And I learned more about the analytical research side and of owning a business and the different things that involved in running a business. And in my eyes, I wanted to climb up the corporate ladder and be like a president or a CEO or something, right? When I went to Cal State San Marcos, though, I ended up learning more about entrepreneurship and I enjoyed that more. And I found a need out there. A lot of people can do not have the resources to hire a social media manager, a full-time staff position at their companies because they're small businesses, but they know that they need social media. So that was the niche I found, and I presented my case to all these small businesses. I launched my company with everything I had learned from all 3 colleges I had gone to. it was within like 2 or 3 months, I had everything launched because my background was in creative marketing. I did my own website, made my own business cards. I had been networking. I had the tools to actually run my own business here. So I started Janovic Communications, where I'm a marketing consultant and I specialize in content creation, social media management. And within the last couple of years, I've moved towards ambassador influencer programs. So I found the need that these small businesses, they can only afford maybe $500 a month to $3,000 a month in their social media needs. And I just put all these clients together, and then that's my monthly income. So it all works out. Now, I was able to be very successful within the first year. It took me about 9 months to get to the same salary that I had working at the corporate job. But I'm telling you, it didn't come just from sitting on my butt. Nothing came to me. I went out and got it. I had a fire behind me. I went out and networked. I was on the phone all the time, emailing people. I worked on my personal brand and I developed that. And that's how I had clients coming to me and saying yes to the proposals that I sent to them. So some of the clients that I have are more running clients now that I've been doing this for almost 4 years. I'm a huge runner, ultra runner, which means anything more than 26.2 miles are the races that I do. So some of the clients are the endurance race series, where they have about 22 races that they host. Half of them are in California and the other half are in Colorado. Injinji toe socks, which for those of you that aren't familiar, they're extremely popular socks for runners, and they spread your toes out like a hand. Spring Energy is kind of the newer technology of those goo packets made with real food, almost like baby food. They taste amazing, no chemicals. North County Beer Run is my latest project, which I'll speak more on later on in this workshop. And things like the Double Peak Challenge. So different races, race directors hire me and running companies hire me to do social media for them. I also founded a running group called Ultrabuds Running about 7 years ago. We meet every Saturday morning for group runs, same place, same time. And this is actually where I do a lot of networking, guys. So I do go to things like chamber events, city events. I am in a networking group called Better Business Builders Network. But this running group, I run with anywhere from 10 to 50 people every Saturday morning. And I ask them, what do you do? What do you do for your living? Are you a small business owner? Do you work in a corporate world? Who does your marketing? Who does your social media? And that's actually how I've gotten a lot of clients, is through networking through my running group. Since I was so involved with running, people were coming to me for coaching advice. So my business partner and I actually started Ghost Runners Coaching, and that's my second business that I own. So we coach runners from the 5K to the 100K distance. And that's just another piece of Janovic Communications. It's another need that we found in the community that we're in, and we created a business out of it. So I'm also a professor at Cal State San Marcos. I teach social media marketing. And I'm a professor here at Miracosta. Obviously, I teach business communications, principles of marketing, and social media marketing. So part-time professor and full-time entrepreneur and full-time runner. I sleep 8 hours a night. It's all about time management. I don't have kids, so maybe that's why I can sleep 8 hours a night. So, but I do have 2 dogs. You know, just last week, one of them threw up in the bed at like 2 a.m. So that was fun. And I believe in balanced family life. I just got back from a trip from Idaho visiting family. So it can be done. You just need to be very organized with your time management. I use a lot of calendars, and I'm out there meeting people all the time. And I'm still working on my brand, personal brand. So the running stuff, I'll go through this real quick so you guys can know about me. I'm totally a human person. 100K, 50Ks, 50 milers, sky races. Here's some pictures. And this is for those that have heard of Spartan races, obstacle course racing. That's actually where I met Christina Sharp. For those that's her professor, met her doing Spartan races, running. And then these are my 2 little children, fur children. My husband and I rescue pit bulls. So that definitely keeps us busy. So just a little timeline here on how I launched my company. So January 2018, I established Janovic Communications. By March 1st, I had my business plan written, mission statement, met with my CPA, which was very important, and all those little business things. If you guys feel like this is something you want to learn more of, there are a ton of classes that Miracosta offers so that you can learn these things. For example, in my Principles of Marketing class, by the end of the semester, you have a full-blown marketing plan. For my social media class, by the end of the semester, you have a full-blown social media plan. Christina Sharp teaches entrepreneur courses, and we also have certificates for small businesses. So we can definitely get you all those resources if that's something that you want to learn. So by March 8th, 2018, I launched Janocom with 4 clients. And yes, 2 of them are family members, but hey, they needed social media for their businesses, right? One was a friend and one was a response to an ad that I I don't remember which one it was, Glassdoor or something like that, Indeed something. And it was between me and another marketing person. And the client was straight out honest with me. He's like, I'm choosing you because you have a master's and because of your education. So education paid off, right? By July 2018, I had 11 clients and I was at full capacity of working 40 hours a week. And by December 2018, I had the gross income at the same level of a corporate senior position. So success story, and I'm doing what I love. And when I wake up Monday morning, I'm up at 5 a.m. and I'm not groaning and complaining saying, it's a Monday, right? We want to work with our passions. So the power of networking, I tell all my students about this. It's all about who you know. So some of the networking groups that I'm a part of, Cal State San Marcos Alumni Board, the MBA chapter. I'm actually a vice president now. So I got into that, and that's how I met all these amazing people, the alumni at Cal State San Marcos Chamber of Commerce. If you're interested in going to one of their events, you can write them and say, hey, I'm a student interested in checking out an event, and they will comp your entry fee for the night. The entry fee for the mixers, I think they're pretty inexpensive. They're like $20, but hey, if you can get a comp because you're a student, use that student card, right? So I highly recommend you guys check out some of these networking events and see what happens. Taste of San Marcos, I was a board member, the co-chair of this event that happens every year in San Marcos. Business Builders Network, I've been a member there for 2 years. I've gotten a lot of leads there for clients. I've met I met a lot of great people. Carlsbad Chamber of Commerce. So every city has a chamber. Oceanside Chamber of Commerce is another amazing one. And you could probably reach out to them as well and go to an event for free. North County Philanthropy Council, for those of you that are interested in working in the nonprofit sector. This is like a chamber for just nonprofits in North County. So it's perfect. Being an instructor at Cal State San Marcos, I've done a ton of marketing through that. They have events all the time for staff. Same here at Miracosta. They have a lot of events for staff and faculty. Ultrabuds Running, I mentioned that, how I network with all the runners I'm with. All right, so now I'm going to put you guys into breakout rooms and I'm going to have you guys network with each other, okay? And get to know each other. And who knows, there might be some sort of connection there on goals. So I'm going to give you about 5 minutes to network. Some of the questions to ask your group members is your name and current occupation. If you're a student, that's completely fine. Why are you taking this workshop? What are your goals while attending Miracosta if you are a student right now? Not everyone is a student at this workshop, which is totally fine as well. Are you looking to transfer, get a certificate, maybe learn a new skill, or decide your career path? I first started at Miracosta College to decide a career path because I had no idea what I wanted to do out of high school, but I loved school and I knew I was going to do something. So when I came to Miracosta, I took a class in every single discipline until I figured out what I liked. What is your hobby or your passion? Doesn't have to be running, but any runners out there? And then just kind of a fun question. If you were a potato, how would you like to be cooked? So I'm going to put you guys, let me stop sharing my screen here. Okay, so now we're going to jump into personal branding. So your personal brand is a marketing strategy focused on the important product, which is you. Even if you guys say you're not salespeople, I had this attitude for a long time. I'm a marketing person. I'm not a sales rep. I'm selling myself, right? To my clients and to whoever. If you're at a job interview, you're selling yourself. So the personal brand is you. It's your reputation, the combination of your personal attributes that differentiates you and your peers. So why would a client want to choose you over someone else who does it? Like that example I used, that one client chose me because of my education, because I had a master's degree. When you go in a job interview, why would they choose you over all the other candidates that they're interviewing? So think what makes you different. So first you want to identify your target audience. Determine where do you want to work? What kind of job do you want to have? Which industry do you want to work in? Some people are very specific with which industries they want to work in. Research your desired role on a career job site. So like an Indeed or a Glassdoor, Career Builder. LinkedIn is a great one for jobs. Read some of the descriptions and determine the skill sets, experience, and the type of candidate that hiring managers are looking for. And then you can kind of ask yourself, do I have these skills? What skills do I still need? And if you still need skills, go out and get them, right? Maybe you need graphic design skills. Go take a graphic design class, and then you have that skill set. Number 2, determining your vision and your purpose. So where do you want to see yourself in a few months or a few years? Do you want to see yourself graduated? Do you want to see yourself owning your own business or have a full-time job within an industry that you like? What are you doing and what have you accomplished so far? Maybe you've already reached certain steps, but you're still growing as a person. What changes do you need to make to be where you want to be? So when I decided to go back to get my master's, I knew that at the time I wanted to move up the corporate ladder. And I said, hey, I don't know anything about supply chain or finance or analytics or research. Like, I need to go back to school and learn these things if I'm going to be president of a company one day, right? And I did end up being a president of a company. It's just my own company, not some big, huge company, but that's totally fine. And I'm okay with that. It still says president on my business card. So details, right? Determine your values. Values can include things like balance, agility, calmness, challenge, decisiveness, persuasiveness, or perseverance, drive, honesty, integrity. Like the list goes on and on. Determine your passions. Your passions are what intrigue you, motivate you on how you want to spend your time. So my passion was running. When I first started my company, I took clients of all industries because I was new. But as I learned and grew my company, then I was able to narrow it down to only running related companies. And I do have a winery because, you know, it's kind of important to have a winery or a brewery client. So, so think about those things. What makes you get out of bed on a Saturday morning at 5 a.m.? Think about that. For me, it's running. I've heard a lot of people say surfers, or maybe it's their kids. Volunteering. Step 4, determining your goals. So your goals are very specific objectives that you'd like to achieve. They're projections of what you want to accomplish so you can create an action plan to achieve them. So what are your goals for the next 5 years, the next 10 years? The more specific you are, the better chance you have of success. And you can have small goals too. Hey, in 3 months, I want this. In 6 months, I want that. In 3 years, I want that. And write a list of how you're going to get to these goals. If you're not writing things down, then it's never going to happen. You're just going to forget about it. Determine your brand attributes. So your personal brand attributes are the words you would use to define your personality or the value that you offer. So if you can't really think of adjectives to describe yourself, ask friends and family. It can be like a fun game. Next time you're at dinner or you're out to coffee or something, or with your friends, ask them, what are like a few adjectives you would use to describe me? And think about those things. Step 7, determining your strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. So it's just like for those who have taken business classes, you know about the SWOT analysis that you do on your company or your competitors. You're doing it on yourself because there's always room for improvement. So what is your own SWOT? Determine your competition. What differentiates you from your competition? Research your competition and see what they have to offer. So when I first started my company, I didn't have any competition. There were no single people like me who are doing social media marketing. There was only agencies, and agencies are great, but usually they come with a pretty high minimum, like, hey, we'll be glad to take you as a client, but our minimum is $5,000 a month. Mom and pop companies can't afford $5,000 a month. So I was the only one really in San Marcos doing this when I first started. Now I think there's about 4 or 5 people who do it in San Marcos, social media marketing, which to me is not a problem at all because I already have my niche for running. So I'm great. Step 9, identify 3 words that best describe you. And this can be your tagline, especially with marketing and social media marketing these days. You want like a hashtag tagline. You don't want it too long though. You want something short. So think about those things as you're developing your brand. So graphic design, this is huge right now for anyone who's doing marketing, social media, if you're creating your own stuff. There's the Adobe Suite, which as students at MiraCosta, you can get for free as your students. We also offer classes here at MiraCosta. Photoshop is the main one to edit photos. Illustrator is used for logos and vector files. And InDesign is a layout program, what you use to lay out your photos, your logos, and your vector files and your fonts. Now, if that sounds too, not tech friendly for some of you, or it takes too much time, or you don't have time to learn all that stuff, or you're not interested in learning that stuff, there's a great free tool out there called Canva. Maybe some of you have heard about it already and some of you use it, but it's a free account you can get. It's an app, but I do it on the desktop because it's easier with the mouse. There's free versions and there's paid versions of this application that you can use. Super easy to create all of these things right here. You can create your own business cards like that. They have templates you can use, and then you can download PDF files, JPEGs. This is kind of the platform and what it looks like here. There's so much you can do on just the free version. I actually have a paid version, which is about, I want to say $24 a month, because I have numerous clients, so I create so much stuff. Plus, with the paid version, you get a whole bunch of stock photos. With the free version, you only get a limited amount of stock photos. So for me, it works well, but the free account is awesome. So here's just kind of like, hey, you're a gym, you need to use a template. They have so many templates you can use. You can change out the text real quick, change out the image real quick, put in your content info, and you're ready to go. Here are a couple like flyers you can use. If you need to create Facebook event covers, like the headers or Twitter headers, it's all pre-sized for you in their templates. It's very social media friendly. If you just need something simple, like, hey, I got an image, I got to put my logo on top. Hey, done. Do it in seconds. Here are social media posts that I have here. Here's another person that I follow. All she does is she changes out the type here. All I do is change out the type here, and it's a template, good to go. Creating your own business cards, it's super easy. You can use a template or you can start from scratch. Here's my business card here, super easy. You download a PDF file and you send that to the printer and it's good to go. My printer has never had a problem printing any Canva files. Here's another business card, or a style guide. So this is a person created their whole style guide in Canva. This was a student who did this. This is not even, like crazy professional. This is a student who did this. So I'm just going to give you guys a few minutes here in Canva exercise. Set up a free account on Canva right now if you don't already have one. Under the Design Anything tab, look up business card, or you can type it in the search business card, and just kind of fool around with this. Select a template that might represent your brand. Put in your contact info, maybe mess around with a few other templates if you want to add different colors or fonts. And once you've completed the card, you click on the 3 right dots on the upper right-hand corner, and you can download a PDF file or a PNG. So I'm kind of going to give you guys about 5 minutes on forcing you to go through this application just so you can see how easy it is. User-friendly.
Yeah, it's pretty easy.
Man, I wish they had this one back in my graphic design days. Would have saved me so much time. For those that had to learn Photoshop and Illustrator back in the day. So yeah, I always love to share that tool with all my students in all my classes. I know Daria uses it all the time now, right?
Yes.
All right, so moving on here, share my screen. Now we're going to move into LinkedIn. I really hope that all of you guys have a LinkedIn page. If you don't, that's your homework this weekend, is to start one. So building your professional brand online. So LinkedIn is very professional. It's a lot different than Facebook and Instagram and TikTok, okay? So LinkedIn, you want to do regular audits and updates of your account. Be sure to have a professional profile picture, nothing with sunglasses or a t-shirt. It's super easy to get a professional profile photo these days. You can set up your smartphone on a timer and just do the top up, have your hair combed, maybe a jacket or something, professional looking, and done. You don't even have to go to a professional photographer anymore. Very simple. I know at Maricosta, they do have resources in the Career Center to help you with LinkedIn. If you need help fine-tuning your LinkedIn page, they have that for the students. You want to make sure that you have a cover photo, something professional as well, headlined, and your experience section filled out. So don't just put your jobs, but actually put what you did at those jobs. Again, what differentiates you? What did you do that other people didn't? Maybe you manage like 40 people at one job or 100 people at one job, something huge like that. Start building now so that when you're done with school, you'll have everything ready to go. Or if you happen to meet someone at a networking event and they ask you what your LinkedIn is, you can give them your information and that it's all set in there. It's like a resume times 10. You want to start building your testimonials, your recommendations. You can ask friends, coworkers, maybe previous supervisors, professors, mentors, all that sort of thing. Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram, just real quick on this. If you are using these to build your personal brand, you want to make sure that you're consistent with regular status updates, even if it's only like 2 times a week. You just got to be consistent. It's really hard. Even I have to struggle with this sometimes. I can do everyone else's social media posts, but I'm the worst one to actually do my own. You want to make sure you're sharing interesting content and opinions about industry relevant topics with quality images. So nothing that's blurry, low resolution. Make sure that they're best quality as possible. Engage in professional discussions, especially in LinkedIn, but be careful with controversial topics. So really be careful what you say out there. Especially now with a lot of controversy, you got to remember that people are seeing what you write. So really be respectful of that. So some basic social media etiquette, and this is for all channels, just not necessarily LinkedIn. Use different accounts for professional and personal communications. So this is another hard one. If you have an Instagram account already and say you already have 2,000 followers and you're like, oh man, now I have to set up a professional account, I'm going to lose those followers. But you need to remember that your professional account, you're not necessarily posting personal stuff. So you either need to be all professional because your clients and prospects are going to see this, or future employers are going to see this, or you need to have 2 separate accounts. However, even though you have a personal account, whether it's on Facebook or Instagram, future employers are going to look at it. It's not necessarily legal, but you ask any hiring manager and they still do it. So be very careful what you post on social media these days. Images, even comments back to other people, like try not to get in fights with people on social media, especially right now. You know, I know you can talk back to people. People can still see what you're commenting and writing. So just always be respectful. Don't react too quickly. If you happen to read a post and something upsets you, or maybe someone wrote a comment, step back for a minute, breathe, and then respond, or choose not to respond. You don't necessarily have to respond to stuff. If someone posts something on one of your accounts and you don't really like it, you can delete it. Don't hide anything. Now, if you're a big company, there's a little different, PR that goes into it. But if it's like your personal account and someone writes something, a comment on one of your pictures, and you don't really care for it, it's okay to delete. It's okay to block that person or unfriend them. Don't worry about that. Always spell check. There's apps out there. One I recommend is Grammarly. It's a free app. You can download it to your phone and your desktop computer, and it just automatically spell checks things for you. Use hashtags strategically. I get really involved in this in my social media class to make sure that the hashtags you're using to help promote you, and help you to get on people's feeds. Don't spam followers' feeds. You don't always want to be doing sales pitches on people. So really pay attention and not to spam their feeds. Some people get annoyed when you post on Instagram every hour. That's what Twitter's for. So knowing which platform is for what is key as well. And that's another reason why it's great to take a social media class. Don't tag or post people or videos without their permission, especially children. Always be careful that you have the parents' permission before posting their photo or video. And don't post anything you wouldn't want your coworkers or a potential client to see. So students that are at a certain age right now, just be careful of those pictures that you're posting, because even if you delete it later, someone might have already taken a screenshot of it, right? So just always be careful. When I was in college, there wasn't social media, so I didn't have to worry about it. But you guys are, it's there. And other great things about LinkedIn, networking, building relationships, nurturing relationships. So you can't just connect with someone and then walk away. You actually have to keep talking to them. Okay. I know it's a lot of work. Networking takes time, but you want to nurture their relationships. And the reason for this is, you don't want to connect with someone and then realize that they work at Hunter Industries, and a year later you apply there and you haven't talked to this person in a year, and you're like, hey, can you put my resume at the top of your pile? And this person's like, well, you haven't even talked to me for a year, and now you're asking me for a favor. You don't want to do that. You want to keep nurturing, talking to people, especially if you just never know where someone's going to be later. Maybe you talk to someone kind of often, they work at Hunter Industries, you could care less if they work at Hunter Industries, then all of a sudden they change positions and they're a hiring manager at Viasat, and you're like, oh my gosh, I've been trying to get a job at Viasat. And since you've been nurturing that relationship, they know who you are, and they will put that resume at the top of the stack. So just think about different things like that. When you hit connect with someone, you can actually put a note in there. It's always great to put a personal message. Otherwise, why would I connect with you? So if you met someone at a networking event, like put that in the note, like, hey, I met you last week at that San Marcos mixer. We talked about blah, blah, blah. It'd be great to connect with you. Don't just hit connect on people. When people do that to me, I decline them. I'm like, I don't know who you are. Where did I meet you? I don't remember. Unless they're like a student of mine, I always connect with my students, and I decline them. I don't know who you are. If you can't take a minute out of your time and say where we met or remember what we talked about, then why am I wasting my time, right? Connect with fellow students and alumni. You never know where your fellow student's going to be in a few years, right? They could be working at a company and getting you a job somewhere or getting you a client somewhere. Alumni is great because they love alumni that are in corporate level positions. They love to hire students and they love to connect with students. So connect with your alumni. You can do it on MiraCosta, or if you go to another college, because I know not everyone in this group is a MiraCosta student. And then when you graduate from MiraCosta or you're done with your time here, join the Alumni Association. Then you can further do networking. So here's kind of a basic of what my LinkedIn looks like here. And I recommend getting a new photo every so often, like 3 or 4 years. So this photo of mine, I don't have short hair anymore, so I should probably get a new one. It's about 4 years old. Everything's filled out. You can see where the pencils are. That's where you can make edits and changes. Add profile section. If you click the down arrow here, there's a whole list of everything you can add to your LinkedIn. So I kind of have, I have over 500 connections here, about sections filled out, my profile, edit profile, and URL link you can do right here. And again, this is more that you can learn on this in my social media class, or you can go to the Career Center and they can help you with LinkedIn as well. So some tips here, if you're a student, which some of you, a lot of you guys are, you can write an informative profile headline, something similar to honor student seeking marketing position or honor student seeking marketing internship, something like that. Pick an appropriate photo, show off your education, your GPA, your test scores, honors, awards. Maybe you worked on a huge project. Maybe you did a mentorship program. It's okay to use all those things until you have work experience. Claim your unique LinkedIn URL, which is, let's see, where do I have it on the slide here? Right here, you can edit public profile and URL. You can click on that. It's grayed out here because I already have it. But if you want your URL to actually have your name in it, like LinkedIn-Isabella Janovic instead of a weird long number, you can do that here. Easier for people to find you. And then fill skills and expertise with keywords. So one of the ways you can find out what a keyword is going back to that job description. You know you want to be a marketing manager at Hunter Industries one day. What does the job description say? What are those keywords? If you have those skills and expertise, make sure it's in there because they're going to search for that. Like, oh, that person knows how to do automation. Oh, that person knows how to do email marketing. So again, on editing or adding to your profile section, here's just a screenshot of when you click on that arrow. It's just a long list of so much information you can add to your LinkedIn. I really recommend everyone optimize their LinkedIn page and add as much information here as possible, even if they're just a student and you don't have work experience yet. So more tips for student profiles and actually all profiles. Update your status regularly. Again, even if it's only once a week, twice a week. You can mention your projects you're working on, professional books or articles. You can mention that you were here today at this workshop or a future workshop that you're going to do. Stay connected to people. So start with university and industry groups. In LinkedIn, there's actual groups similar to Facebook groups. There's probably a MiraCosta group, alumni groups. If you're into the real estate industry, there's a ton of real estate groups. You can do North County real estate, San Diego real estate, and those are just examples. Collect diverse recommendations. So you want to ask people to recommend you, and share your work. Maybe you write blogs for fun. Maybe you did a research paper or what we call senior experience projects. Share what you're doing. Oh, here we go. Customizing your profile, public profile URL. Here's another screenshot of how to do that. Edit your custom URL. And here, my custom URL says iJanovic. And there's a little pencil where you can make an edit there. Really simple, easy to do. All right, so now I'm going to have you guys do a little LinkedIn exercise because I'm forcing you to use this. So real quick, audit your profile and just make a list of everything that you would like to add or improve on. Make yourself kind of like a to-do list. If you have time right now, I'm just going to give you guys about 5 minutes. Connect with maybe some current classmates, professors, maybe administration people, mentors. You can feel free to connect with me. Connect with people that you met in your breakout room. We're going to do another breakout room later, so you can connect with those people on LinkedIn. Connect with alumni. You can ask for recommendations. Maybe you can, in the time I give you, research and create a list of local networking events and add them to your calendars, and then you can register for them later. But the main thing is to maybe make a list here of what you need to add and improve. Maybe number one on your list is get a good picture. All right, so I'll set my timer here and I'll give you guys about 7 minutes to do that. Okay, so just to add some tips to LinkedIn here. Always contribute something of value to your target market. So would you rather see self-promotion and ads or content that is educational or entertaining? So think about, what do you want to see, and make sure that you're giving the same back. Don't assume that your connections will see all of your posts. So just like Facebook or any other social media platforms out there, they all have those algorithms, and you're not necessarily going to show up on everyone's feed. So the more you post, the more that they'll show up on people's feed. The more that people comment and like on your post, the more that you'll show up on people's feeds. Always create engaging content. So the more reactions, again, the more reactions and comments you receive, the more people it'll reach. And that's with any social media platform. Post original photos that include people's faces. People love to see people's faces. They tend to get more engagement. Post regularly. 1 or 2 times a week is fine if you're just starting off. Connect on a personal level, but always keep it professional. So when your messages, make sure it's professional, because LinkedIn is a professional platform. Interact with others. So when you see posts that interest you, maybe someone that you want to develop a further relationship with, make sure that you're engaging in their posts as well. Comment, like, share. And you can also become what we call a micro influencer in LinkedIn. That could, if depending on what you're selling, your product or your service, or what your goals are, you can really get big on your personal brand on LinkedIn. So you don't have to have a million of connections for LinkedIn to make a big impact. You can still become a micro influencer, and that's the same on all platforms as well. So now I'm going to give you everyone a quick 10-minute break. So if you guys need more coffee, bathroom break, I'll set the timer here, but let's come back at 1:13. In case you're interested in some future classes that's kind of around personal branding, we offer Business 120, which is Introduction to Business. And Business 130 is Entrepreneurship and Small Business Management. And Business 132, which is Principles of Marketing. I teach Business 132, and I also teach Business Communications. Each semester is kind of different, so you'll need to look at the course catalog to see when and where I'm teaching. And I also teach a CSIT course, 155 Social Media for Business. So something to keep in mind. There's great certificate programs. If you go to the certificate page on the website, I think Dario will probably put in the link in the chat. And doing more workshops. I'll give you guys information on other workshops at the end of this workshop, but those are kind of the main ones right there. And they have great classes here. They have online, they have in-person, 16-week, 8-week. Even I take classes here. Even though I have a master's already, I'm constantly still going back to school. Last year during COVID, I got a social media marketing certificate. During the year, I got a coaching certificate. So I'm a certified coacher for my running program. This summer, I took 2 classes at Miracoast Online. They were 6-week classes, which It's a little difficult, a six-week class, but I took advanced Excel and I took Google Apps because I'm like, hey, I know there's a lot to Excel. I know the basics and I use it every day. I use Google Apps all the time. Why not take a class and learn more about it? And I learned so much about, especially Excel. I'm currently in a class right now at Miracosta. I'm taking e-commerce because I don't know anything about Shopify or how those e-commerce websites work. And I want to know. So why not take a class? Miracosta makes it very easy for you and it's very inexpensive. All right, so moving on to social media audit. Here are some basic tips for your social media platforms. Don't post or like questionable material. If in doubt, don't do it. You don't have to post just to post. It's better to not post than to post something bad. So I always say err on the side of silence. If you like to be entertaining, you can maybe post in a private chat with friends. There's WhatsApp, there's text messaging, Snapchat disappears within, I think you can view it twice. Instagram stories, it at least disappears in 24 hours. So think about those type of things instead of something that's going to be permanently on there. Even if your past content isn't offensive, it could still be harmful for your image. So keep that in mind as well. And future prospects or a future job. You don't want to appear angry all the time, immature, inarticulate, thoughtless, obnoxious, or judgmental. And you certainly don't want to give off the vibe that you're potentially unstable or unprofessional or unreliable. So remember those key points. Book time in your calendar for personal audits. I use Google Calendar for everything. It syncs to my cell phone. So I have it both on my desktop computer and on my cell phone, and I color coordinate everything. So, I mean, you don't have to be that organized, but if you like, Google Calendar is amazing. So it's easy to set a reminder there, whether you want to do it monthly, quarterly, annually, but make sure you're constantly auditing your social media. Another thing that I like to do is maybe unfollow certain people who I don't talk to or who they're inactive. Like, why am I friends with this person on Instagram if they haven't posted anything in a year? It's like, pointless, that sort of thing as well. Update photos if necessary. Your profile pictures. Some people have a picture there that's been there for 8 or 10 years. Maybe update that if it doesn't look like you anymore. Delete old accounts you don't use anymore. Say you haven't used your Twitter account in like 3 or 4 years. It's just not your platform. You may as well just delete it. 70% of employers use social media to vet and screen out candidates. Again, this is not legal, but they do it anyway. So be careful, okay? According to a Career Builder survey, the top 5 reasons why candidates don't get hired due to their social media accounts are: 1, posting provocative or inappropriate photographs or information, 46%. 41% is posting information about them drinking or using drugs. So be very careful with that. 36% bad-mouthing their previous company or fellow employees. This is not the platform for you to rant on, okay? Poor communication skills, 32%, especially important for those seeking careers in communication. Discriminatory comments related to race, gender, religion, etc. is 28%. So just really be careful what you guys post out there. All right, here is my favorite part of the workshop, the elevator speech. I'm going to get everyone outside of their comfort zone. This is what's awesome about breakout rooms, is that you can do things in front of a small group of 4 or 5 people instead of a large group. So it's good to practice in baby steps. So for those that don't know what an elevator speech is, the definition is it's a clear, brief message or a commercial, which some people like to call it, about you. It communicates who you are, what you're looking for, on how you can benefit a company or organization. It's typically about 30 seconds long and cannot be more than a minute long. It has to be short and sweet. So the reason they came up with 30 seconds is because it's the time it takes for someone to ride an elevator. You can use this pitch at networking events, job fairs, career expos, job interviews. Anytime anyone asks you what you do, great, you have it. You have your elevator speech, 30 seconds, ready to go. It's a great way to gain confidence in introducing yourself to hiring managers and company representatives. I've had students in the past who are, maybe work at a golf course or they work in the restaurant industry, and people they help who are, CEOs, presidents at big companies have asked them like, hey, what do you do? You're a college student. Awesome. What do you do? What do you want to do? and they have had their elevator speech ready. And I've had students get business cards from that just at their current jobs. So it's always great to have your elevator speech ready to go and to practice it. So an elevator speech outline is, who are you? Describe yourself and your company. You don't necessarily have to have a company just yet. What do you do? Be friendly, outgoing, be confident. What do you offer? What problems do you solve for your clients? What are your solutions? Maybe give an example depending on the time. So again, 30 seconds. People have very short attention spans. When you're at networking events, people tend to interrupt and walk around. So you got to make sure that you keep it short. What are your differentiators? What makes your service or product unique? What are the advantages of working with you? Say you're a real estate agent. Well, you know, there's a ton of real estate agents in San Diego. What are the advantages of working with you as a real estate agent? How are you different from your competitor? How do you work? Give an example or tell a story. And then have a call for action. So at the end of your speech, do you want a business card, a referral, additional one-on-one, you know, ask job openings, internships, something like that. If I connect with someone, I usually ask them, what's your LinkedIn, or if you have a business card, or if you want to have a one-on-one coffee sometime and get to know each other a little better. Coffee is great. So how to write an elevator speech. Step one is first write down everything that comes to your mind. Just write it all down, get it on paper or type it out. Then cut out the jargon and the details. So make strong and short, powerful sentences. If you want, you can look up keywords as well. Eliminate unnecessary words or any fluff. Connect the phrases to each other. And your elevator speech should flow naturally and smoothly. You don't want to rush it. You don't want to be like you're reading a piece of paper. You don't want to use certain words of vocabulary that you don't normally use. And memorize your key points and practice. So a great way to practice on your own is to, you know, speak in front of a mirror. You can record yourself with your smartphone and practice that way. You can practice with friends, family members, spouse, the dog, the cat. They don't talk back to you. You know, do all that practicing on your own, and then you actually have to get out there to networking events. It's great to practice with friends. Like maybe you go out to dinner with a group of like 2 or 3 friends, practice in front of them, practice standing up, sitting down, using your hands. And then you kind of go slowly. Maybe you start with the smaller chambers and smaller events, like San Marcos Chamber is a smaller chamber. Maybe you start with them first, and then you move on to a bigger chamber like Carlsbad Chamber. Step 5, have you really answered the key question to your listener? What's in it for me, right? Because they're listening because they want to know how they can connect with you. What's in it for them? Step 6, create different versions for different business situations of your elevator speech. So your elevator speech at a networking group may be completely different than your elevator speech at a job interview or a career fair. So some tips on creating your elevator speech. Again, keep it short. 30 seconds is great. Do not go over a minute. You're just going to lose people. Start and end with your full name and occupation. Hello, my name is Isabella Janovic, and I'm the owner of Janovic Communications, specializing in social media management, content creation, team and ambassador management. So, you know, just, and then you'd say at the end, again, thank you. I'm Isabella Janovic with Janovic Communications. If you're talking one-on-one with a person, it might be a little different, but if you're talking in a group, like at a chamber event, you want to say your name and occupation twice. Kind of like when you leave a phone call, a voicemail for someone in professional level, you say your name and your phone number at the beginning, at the end. Spark interest to your listener. So again, like have that confidence that you know what you're doing. Even if you don't know what you're doing, you're at school, you're like, oh my gosh, I go to Miracosta College and I'm in the certificate program. I'm learning so much about social media and marketing. I can't wait to see where this goes. Like, I'm super excited to find an internship that I can, you know, be an assistant and learn in return. Share your skills, your goals, know your audience, and again, practice, always practicing. So I have this slide here for you guys. I'll put this in the chat and I'll give you guys a couple minutes to view it. I have an example of a good elevator speech, an example of a bad elevator speech. The bad one is really funny, so you guys watch them both. They're only about 30 seconds. Let's see if I can put this in the chat. Oops. So I'm going to have you guys do an elevator speech exercise. I'm going to put you in breakout rooms. So you're only doing this in front of a few people. So again, baby steps, baby steps. Karen, don't be scared. It's just a few people. You're not doing it in front of the whole workshop. I highly recommend you keep your camera on.
Yeah.
So when you get into your breakout room first, watch the 2 links here, the good speech and the bad speech. They're really short. And then I'll give you a few minutes to kind of maybe write down some notes and to practice. So here's kind of a scenario for you. You're at a coffee networking event with the Oceanside Chamber of Commerce. Attendees range from chamber members, small business owners, and nonprofits. There are about 30 people in the room. And this is real life scenario. This is how they do it. Everyone sitting in chairs in a circle. Each attendee will give about 30 seconds to give their elevator speech. And that's what they do. They go around a room and you get 30 seconds to talk. With your group, discuss what to include in your elevator speech. So take some notes, make some bullet points. What are skills, differentiators, goals that you want to include? What do you want people in the room to know about you? If you have time, practice going over your elevator speech with your group and members. Hopefully you guys will get 2 turns each. I'll check in on the breakout rooms to see where you're at. But now's the time to say, hey, these are my thoughts on my elevator speech, and get feedback from other people in the breakout rooms, and network, connect with each other on LinkedIn. All right, so just a few more minutes here, and then I'll take any questions that we have. So hopefully you guys were able to practice your elevator speech or know what you need to practice, right? Maybe it was kind of a little wake-up call for some of you. Practice, and it gets easier as you keep doing it, trust me. And hopefully you guys did a little bit of networking, got to connect with some people on LinkedIn. All right, so some basic career tips for you guys. Always have a professional voicemail on your phone. When was the last time you even listened to your voicemail on your phone? It might be a good idea to see what it's saying in there and make sure it's professional. Change it if you need to. How do you answer your phone when you get a call from an unknown number? And I'm not talking about the spam telemarketers, okay? I'm talking about like an unknown number. If you have a business phone, how do you answer it? Or if you've been applying for jobs, it could be an employer asking for an interview, right? So how do you answer your phone? Be considerate of when you call or text someone. A lot of people are doing texting now, which is completely fine, but make sure you pay attention at what time you're texting or calling someone. Normal standard business hours are usually 8 to 4, 9 to 5. I got a text message once from a client. It was at 11 o'clock at night on a Friday night. And I go to bed at 8 o'clock anyway, but I also had a race the next morning. And it was when my phone was on silent, but it was attached to my watch for some of you that have the watches, and it kept buzzing. And I was not a happy camper. And I professionally let him know on Monday that that's unacceptable and why. And he just didn't even think. He's like, but I had all these great ideas. I'm like, that's great. You had these great ideas. You can email them to me. You don't have to text them to me. So kind of knowing when it's appropriate to email text. Usually with new clients of mine, I ask them what's their best method of communication, and I tell them what my best method of communication is. I'm a morning person. I don't think you'll appreciate me calling you at 5 a.m. just like I wouldn't appreciate you calling me at 9 p.m. So it works both ways. So always kind of think about those things with texting and calling people. Email, make sure you have a professional email address. And I'm not talking about a student email that's at MiraCosta. I'm talking about a professional one. Back when I was in college, mine said skategirlsrock@yahoo.com. So, I'm just like a lot of you guys. I had a funky email, fun one. And then I changed it to isabellajanovic@gmail.com. So you can easily get a free Gmail account, no problem, okay? Make sure it's professional, because when you're sending resumes or, you have prospects for jobs, you want to make sure you're using a professional email. Social media, consistently audit your social media pages and Google your name. See what happens when you Google your name. Is there inappropriate things in there? Now's the time to try to get rid of those. When in doubt, delete your post or your photo or your video. Resumes. For those that are students at MiraCosta College, take advantage of the Career Center and their free resources on writing your resume and building your LinkedIn pages. Those are for students, free resource. It's amazing. Use it. Save your resume with a professional title that includes your name. You got to think these hiring managers are getting tons of resumes and everyone labels their resume file resume. Well, that's great. How are you going to know which one's which, right? So make sure you have your name in there. Super simple. It could be a PDF, Word doc, whatever you decide. And don't send someone a link to your Google Doc. Make sure it's an actual attachment of a Word document or a PDF file. Don't give them some funky file. Some people use Pages on a Mac. You should be able to export to a Word document. When you're in Google Docs and that's where you write things, you can save or export to a Word document. Networking events, dress professional, business casual, depending on the event. Research it ahead of time. Have your elevator speech practiced and prepared. Be aware of consuming alcohol. A lot of people say no alcohol at all. I'm not against drinking alcohol at networking events as long as you're professional and you just have like maybe one, right? There's always water and non-alcoholic beverages at networking events. You don't have to drink. You'll have people saying, hey, let me buy you a beer. Let me buy you a glass of wine. Like, here's a ticket. Here's a ticket. It's okay to say no, guys. You don't have to, don't feel pressured that you have to consume alcohol at networking events. Have your business cards created and ready to hand out to people. Make sure they're with you. You can use the free apps like Canva, and you can print either a local printer down the street, or you can use one of the online services that are pretty inexpensive these days. Follow up. If you meet someone at a networking event or a job fair and you get their contact information, make sure you're following up with them either on LinkedIn, connecting with them, or an email, or if they tell you to text you, you text them. That's not a problem. I always prefer email. So what's next? So we just did a personal branding workshop, 2-hour workshop here. Here are some certificate programs I want to share with you. Dario put the link in the chat. So we have an entrepreneurship certificate of achievement. And with that, you get a business plan, a marketing plan, financial statements for a proposed business. So those that are wanting to go the entrepreneur route, that's a great certificate to get. There's 3 required courses plus 9 elective units. Social media for business certificate of achievement. Social media marketing plan is what you'll have at the end of this certificate, using multiple platforms to reach your audience. 4 required courses plus 6 elective units. So this is good for entrepreneurs or just people who are interested in doing social media. Business quick startup certificate of proficiency. I wish they had this around for me years ago. This is an amazing certificate. A professional business plan with all supporting documentations for starting it. It gets you up and running in 1 semester. Super quick, 5 required courses plus 6 elective units. I can't tell you how many social media prospects I've talked to and they don't even have a business plan yet. I'm like, how are we supposed to achieve your social media goals if you don't even know what your business goals are? And they just simply don't know how to write one. So this is a great class to take, great certificate to have to learn how to do this. So we have 2 more workshops that I'll be doing in this series. So if you want to jot down these dates, we have a social media for business workshop. So if you want to learn all the basics of social media, it's a 2-hour workshop. So we won't be getting in too deep, but at least you'll have the basics and you can come with questions. That will be on October 20th. And then I'm also going to be giving an influencer marketing workshop in November 17th. Influencer marketing is getting bigger and bigger, and you don't have to be a Kardashian to be an influencer on social media. You can be a little person like me. I have been doing a ton of influencer work myself the past 2 years, and I only have 4,000 followers on Instagram. So you don't have to be a big wig celebrity. So if you want to learn more about influencer marketing on how to be an influencer, or maybe you're on the other side, you're a social media manager and you want to manage influencers, then this workshop's good for you as well. So either for entrepreneurs or if you just want to learn more about it, if you're a marketing person. So, and that kind of wraps this up. Anyone have any questions? We have about 5 minutes left.